All right, man, peace. So Amari Cooper, the standout young wideout, formerly of the Oakland Raiders, was traded to the Dallas Cowboys for a first-round draft pick. And I remember Amari as being one of the most exemplary draft picks at wide receiver that I can remember in recent memory out of Alabama. His career has been a bit up and down based on the expectations for him. He's made 2 Pro Bowls, but hopefully he's going to be able to find himself in Dallas. And I think that this situation is going to work out because situations normally work out when everyone involved needs it to work out. And that is the case here. Dallas needs an explosive wideout. They need a great threat on the outside. Dak Prescott needs someone to throw to. And Amari Cooper, he needed to be somewhere where he felt wanted. And a lot of what goes on in life in regards to success is based off of 2 things. You wanting to be a part of something big and something special, and that big something wanting you to be a part of it. So hopefully Amari Cooper will be able to maximize his hard work and just go out there and ball out. So anyway, they're going to talk about it and I'm going to chime in.
It was great to be wanted by any team in the NFL, obviously. So that's all I have to say about that. You know, it's a fresh start. This is a good team. I'm just giving them something to build on, I guess you can say. And it's America's team. Who wouldn't be excited?
It's Amari Cooper speaking for the first time since being traded from the Raiders to America's team. Cooper's going to make his debut a week from Monday, the Monday night game that we'll all be at against the Titans. We welcome in now to the table Victor Cruz. What's up, Victor?
What's up, Will? How you doing?
Good, good. So you heard Amari Cooper there. Do you think the situation in Dallas and Amari's presence, is that a situation set up for success or failure?
I think
The level of success or failure that they're able to attain is going to be based off of all parties involved willingness to make it work. Simple as that. Amari Cooper is too talented for it to not work as long as he wants it to work and everyone else who's invested wants it to work. Even more than being a litmus test for him, this is truly a litmus test for Mr. Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott has to make this work because Dak Prescott has to prove to Jerry and Stephen Jones that he's going to be worth a huge contract in a year and a half.
I think it's set up for success for him. I feel like, you know, whenever you go from a team that just flat out sucks this year into a team that's a contender in their division, you get a renewed sense of self kind of thing. So I think it's set up for success. I think the biggest thing that the Cowboys needed going into the season was a big play receiver, right? A playmaker on the outside that can stretch the field and create those big play opportunities to make the underneath become open with Cole Beasley and things of that nature.
Dallas still needs another receiver, but Amari Cooper, he fills a much-needed void, someone who can make a big play. Dallas also needs a receiver who goes about 6'2", and it can be a good possession receiver, somebody who can move the chains, and they also need a tight end.
They didn't have that going in, so to get someone like Amari Cooper for a first-round pick is very Jerry Jones-like, if you will, but I think it's definitely set up for success, not only for Amari Cooper, but for Dak Prescott and that entire offense to be a little bit more multi-dimensional in the things that they do. Now they have someone who can stretch the field. You have to respect his ability when he's out there on the field, and I think
Dak is still going to have to show that he's going to be able to connect to his other receivers because he can't just lock in on Amari Cooper because soon they're just going to start game planning for Amari. And Amari and Cole Beasley are not going to be enough to make defenses say, you know what, we're not going to concentrate purely on Ezekiel Elliott. We're going to have our safety move back and worry about Dak connecting with these receivers because they're so dangerous. Dak is going to have to show that he can connect with Allen Hurn and some of the other targets that they brought in. He's going to have to show that.
They have a dynamic now that can be beneficial to them winning some ball games.
Yeah, Amari Cooper sets the Cowboys up for success, but he's set up for failure here. I disagree with you. And the reason is, look at Patrick Mahomes, right? You know why he's setting the world on fire other than his own excellence? Everyone's wide open. Andy Reid schemes it out, so these guys, there's no one within a million miles. Look at Baker.
Well, it's not just scheme. It's also the fact that they drafted exemplary talent. They have Sammy Watkins, they have Travis Kelce, they have Tyreek Hill, they have Kareem Hunt. They've done an exceptional job in the draft.
Baker Mayfield, you know why he struggles sometimes? He is throwing into tight windows constantly. Now, Amari Cooper's being brought in. Why? One of the major reasons. Will, you brought this up the other day as a Cowboys fan. Slept on it, woke up and liked it, right? It's a referendum. We're going to have a referendum on Dak Prescott here, and we need the info. We need the data. So how are you going to get it? His offensive line is clearly not what it was, but it's not terrible. It's not the Giants. It's okay. He's got a great running back, and now he's got an outside threat. Amari Cooper is big, strong, fast. He can catch the ball, and he can run routes. This is not a mirage. We know that he's actually intrinsically good, right?
Well, we know that he's intrinsically good or talented per se because of the aspirations that he had coming out of Alabama and what he was able to accomplish while he was there. But he does oftentimes suffer from a case of the drops.
So this is what we're going to find out about Dak Prescott. No, we're not.
Dak's problem, number one, is that oftentimes he just gets too scary whenever he sees his receivers are not wide open. And to be an elite level quarterback, you are going to have to complete passes in tight windows.
Not really, because who's the coach? The coach is still Jason Garrett. The Cowboys fans have a problem with the coach because guys are not wide open, because the offense lacks.
Right, but you know what? And people are fond of blaming Jason Garrett for a lot of things. At the end of the day, you're not going to tell me that Jason Garrett did a great job in 2014 and he did a great job in Dak's first season, I believe 2016, and now all of a sudden he's a terrible coach. They had a great offense in 2014 with Tony Romo and DeMarco Murray and Des Bryant. They had a great offense in 2016 with Dak and Zeke and Cole Beasley. So sometimes we also have to look at execution. Now, do the Cowboys have the most inventive or innovative offensive plays? No. But a lot of it is on Dak. Dak is going to have to show that he's going to be able to make plays down the field, even with a meat and potatoes offense, because there aren't but so many ways to skin a cat. You can't reinvent the wheel all the time. Even Baker Mayfield just stated that with the Cleveland Browns while responding to a question about the head coach of the Cleveland Browns taking over the offensive play calling.
Lacks imagination. So there's a very good chance this doesn't work out. By the way, that's assuming Dak is the real deal. I think he is. I think he's good. Maybe not great, but he's good. But if we're trying to find out about Dak Prescott, and that's the point of bringing in Amari Cooper, and the coach is the same and the offense basically remains the same, then...
Yeah, the same offense that was the same back in 2016 when Dak was balling out.
Then what we're going to find out is they don't believe in Dak Prescott because the numbers won't really pop up. And what does that mean for Amari Cooper? No, the Cowboys are set up for success by bringing in Amari Cooper. He is set up for failure.
Well, Amari Cooper's contract is about to expire relatively soon anyway, so you would hope that NFL teams who understand what's going on the football field are not going to judge Amari by his numbers if Dak Prescott is unable to get him the football. He's still only 24 years old, so he has a lot of years left in the NFL, and he's a 4-4 guy, so it's not like he's Des Bryant.
You know, your position sometimes is just it's so funny. You psychoanalyze everything and then forget the most important psychological point about the Dallas Cowboys.
Here we go.
Who does Jerry Jones care about more? Jason Garrett or Dak Prescott? Of course it's Jason Garrett. Even you can't deny that. So it's one of those situations where he's found a reason. Wade Phillips is there as the head coach. He finds a reason to get Jason Garrett up in there as your head coach. Tony Romo's your quarterback. You know, he still found a way to keep Jason Garrett. People have been complaining about Jason Garrett for years. Mr. Cowboy fan, and before I continue, am I right about that? Is that not true that Cowboy fans have been complaining about Jason Garrett for years? Even you were a little bit late.
Jason Garrett is that guy who's just good enough to keep his job. He's just non-threatening enough to keep his job. He's like a manager in a corporation who has a very, very close affinity or close ties with the CEO. So he's going to have to really fuck up to lose his job. Him just doing him on an everyday basis is not going to cost him his job.
Late to the party compared to most Dallas Cowboy fans and complaining about Jason Garrett, and you've been all over him. But I'm just talking about doing it a little bit later than they've been doing it. I think that's accurate. They've been complaining about Jason Garrett for years. What has Jerry Jones done? Not a damn thing. And I'm imitating his voice there. Here's the reality of the situation, y'all. Here's the reality. Dak Prescott is the man under the gun here. Because if you've got Amari Cooper...
There's no doubt about that. Dak Prescott is the person who's under the gun. He's the player who's being evaluated as clear as day. No, Amari Cooper is not being set up for failure. He's already proven that he can be a standout wide receiver as long as he catches the football.
Cooper and you want to make the proclamation that he's a number one, that this is a guy that was once targeted 9 times a game, or nearly 9 times a game in his first 2 years. It dipped to 6 last year, and this year is at about 5. And so as a result of that, he's not getting that. I know he has some drop, but I'm just talking about the amount of targets. I'm talking about the level of activity that's been generated in his direction. You brought him to Dallas to alleviate all of that. Cole Beasley ain't a number 1. Terrence Williams ain't a number 1. Alan Hearns ain't a number 1. You're looking at this guy, all right? A Gallup ain't a number 1. He's a rookie, even though he had a nice sketch against the Redskins last week. He's good. The point that I'm making is you're looking for Amari to be number 1. So if you're looking for him to be number 1, you're going to ask Dak Prescott to get him the ball. God help anybody if Amari Cooper gets open, but he ain't getting the ball. Who we gonna look at? We ain't gonna look at Scott Linehan. We ain't gonna look at Jason Garrett because he's an extension of Scott Linehan and Jerry Jones. We're gonna look at Dak Prescott because Dak Prescott was the guy that Jerry Jones waited forever to give love and adulation to. Okay?
Can you be a number 1 if your coach is scheming like number 2s?
Hold on now. Let me get this back to the wide receiver.
Well, it depends. It depends. If you have standout talent, you can. There are a lot of transcendent quarterbacks who have made their head coaches look greater than they were. Look at Aaron Rodgers. Now, of course, Aaron Rodgers is a once-in-a-lifetime talent. Dan Marino is a once-in-a-lifetime talent. So, of course, we're not asking Dak Prescott to be that. But Dak does have to show that he's going to be able to take talent around him and be able to convert. I don't think that is that much to ask. I really don't. Especially with the amount of missed throws that I've seen from Dak this season.
You're both not wrong. I mean, there's reason to worry about Amari Cooper's potential.
That's
right.
It ain't working.
Another life, another day. Maybe a future day.
All right.
You're both not wrong. Amari might not be set up for success because of that coaching staff. I got to give you that. I can't have faith in Jason Garrett. I can't have faith in Scott Linehan. But I got to have faith in at least some minimum level of competency. Now, Victor, Amari Cooper ought to be looking at 9-man boxes. He ought to see a team, every team, looking at stopping Ezekiel Elliott. I got to think. One-on-one coverage, even Scott Linehan knows, get it to Amari. That ought to be...
That's what you have to hope for if you're a Dallas Cowboy fan.
Ought to be a situation set up for success.
I agree. I feel like that balance that will be created with his presence and obviously Ezekiel Elliott in the backfield always provides a threat that you have to account for defensively.
But once again, that still comes back to Dak Prescott. Because if teams are still putting 9 men in the box, even with Amari Cooper out there, what they're saying is, Dak, we see that you have more talent on the outside, but you're still going to have to prove to us that you can get him the football. So what does that mean? It's not just an issue with the offensive line. It's not just an issue with the personnel. It's an issue with how the NFL defenses deem Dak as a quarterback. Because if it was just about the personnel, as soon as they get in Amari Cooper, they're going to stop the 9-man fronts. They're going to say, okay, Dak has help now, so let's make sure that we cover our bases. If they're still going to have 9-man fronts, even with Amari Cooper out there, they're saying that they know that Dak Prescott has a lot to prove.
Amari Cooper's going to see a lot of one-on-one coverage, and if they don't get him the ball, if they don't find ways or schemes to get him the ball with the one-on-one coverages that he's going to see, then there's nowhere else to go.
You know, all I heard about was how great Scott Linehan was from back in 2014. Now, all of a sudden, he's a big idiot.
Here's my question, Judge Kane.
Like
what a weak title, by the way. And you.
Whoa,
Judge Kane.
Okay, let me fix it. Hold on, let me fix it. How you like Justice Kane?
Ooh. If only Kane were able.
Just take me out.
I love it, man. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's perfect. That's the best line in your career here. That's the best line. If only Kane was just Here's the deal. I ask a simple question. Based on what you just highlighted, and he's nodding his head like a bobblehead doll, agreeing with you. Who's going to be at fault in the eyes of Jerry Jones?
Exactly.
If Amari Cooper doesn't excel.
The only person that's called on the plays.
No.
No!
Dak that calling the plays?
Well, if they don't give him the
I said in the
ball.
eyes of Jerry Jones. That's what I said.
Gavel.
In the eyes of Jerry Jones.
Yes.
That's what I said. In the eyes of Jerry Jones.
It won't be Dak
Prescott.
Let me prove to you.
He's the one that has been
Let me
set up.
prove to you that Amari Cooper is set up for failure.
Right, but what Stephen A. Smith basically got Victor Cruz to acknowledge and accept is that even if it might be the guy who's calling the plays problem, Scott Linehan, if Jerry Jones was ready to fire Scott Linehan, one would think that he would have done so after last season. I think that what Stephen A. Smith is trying to communicate, and I agree with him, is that Jerry Jones is going to take it out on Dak Prescott if Dak Prescott is unable to get Amari Cooper the ball. They're not going to blame Scott Linehan, especially if the reason why Dak is not getting him the football is the same reason why he has not been getting many of his receivers the football this season. Not because of scheme, but because he's been shook in the pocket. He has not shown the courage to throw passes into tight coverage, or maybe he knows that he does not have the accuracy to connect with his receivers in tight coverage.
Failure, Victor.
But Jerry Jones's eyes.
Let me prove to you that Amari Cooper set up for failure, at least that we all really believe that underneath. Given everything you said about the Cowboys and the way they've been playing defense, if we believed that he was set up for success right now, we'd all say Cowboys going to win this division the way the Eagles have been looking. Unless you really believe in Washington, which I don't. They're okay. They're fine. Cowboys should be set up to win the division. I don't hear us all saying, yeah, Cowboys are going to win it. Why not?
Well, I don't think Amari Cooper alone.
Once again, the reason why you don't hear people saying the Cowboys are going to win the division is because that's showing that people don't believe in Dak Prescott. Not so much that Amari Cooper is being set up for failure. And just when you ask that question, is Amari Cooper being set up for failure? What you're really saying is that Dak Prescott is not good enough to overcome a bad offensive coordinator. When you look all across the NFL, you see quarterbacks who get into back and forth screaming matches with their offensive coordinators. But if they're a great quarterback, that's just something that you see on the sideline. You never notice it out on the field. Ben Roethlisberger has had many blow-ups with his offensive coordinators, but because he throws for 4,800 yards every year, it's not that big a deal. Tom Brady goes back and forth in screaming matches with his offensive coordinator, but he's Tom Brady. So nobody says, oh, get rid of the offensive coordinator. For people to be at a crossroads or dealing with a conundrum in regards to whose fault this is going to be, that's really showing you that it's going to be blamed on Dak Prescott.
Just gives you that dynamic for him to win it. I think it takes more than just that, and how they use him, how they utilize his talents along with that team is going to definitely tell where this team can go.
All right, coaching? Hold on.
Coaching. There's the gavel.
Guilty. Get him out. Bailiff!
Needless to
Please
say.
have him removed.
Needless to.
But anyway, that's basically it on that. We'll see how things go for Amari Cooper. I hope that everything works out for that brother. So peace.